Hello and welcome. I'm your host, James Literal.
And I'm your host, Megan Preston, and we'd like to welcome you to our new show, Eagle ID.
On today's episode, we have two very special guests. Ashley Troy on to talk about her experience of studying abroad. And next, we'll have Nathaniel Watkins on to talk about upcoming events in Greek life at MSU.
Last but not least, our segment producer, Kyle Cooper, will be on to introduce this week's segment. More when we get back. Welcome back. Here with us is our first guest, Ashley Troy. So Ashley, what are you here to talk about with us today?
My experience to Belgium and the Netherlands.
How did you get to go to Belgium and the Netherlands?
My special legal topics class.
So, what kind of stuff do you do in your special legal topics class?
Well, we just compare legal topics from different countries and compare it to ours.
So, how did going to Belgium and the Netherlands help with this topic or the subject?
It showed a different outlook on how they look at life and how they their rules and stuff like that. So
Different lifestyles?
yeah.
So did you really enjoy being in Belgium and the Netherlands?
Belgium more than the Netherlands because it was too crowded for me, but it was all gorgeous and it was nice and a nice experience to get to go.
So what's your favorite memory about being in Belgium?
The fact that if you find the tallest tower and you just go straight towards it, you find the square. I love the fact that you just go to the square and that's like your pinpoint.
So is it kind of like our version of like Times Square? Or is it a little different?
It's kind of like that. They have markets there and stuff like that, so you can go buy. So the last market they had was a fabric market, so you can go out and buy fabrics if you wanted to. There was a clothing one as well, but they're just like, they just spread out and sell things.
So did you bring back any souvenirs for any of your friends?
Of course.
What kind of souvenirs did you bring back?
I brought back some shot glasses and keychains, mainly the cliche stuff, I guess you could say, but I also brought back a lighter, bracelets, something just to remember, or I guess like show them like their culture and stuff like that, and like, yeah.
Would you go back to Belgium?
Yes, definitely.
If you had the opportunity to study abroad again, do you think you would go?
Yes.
Is there any countries that you specifically would want to go to?
Not really. I really want to just see the world, kind of. So, like, if I were to just go to England, I think that would be a cool experience, or even to Italy, or like something like that. I think it'd be like a really cool experience.
That's really good. Well, thank you for coming on. We really appreciate you talking to us.
Thanks for having me.
Anytime. And more when we get back.
Welcome back. We're here with our next guest, Nate Watkins. So Nate, what are you here to talk about today?
So I'm here to talk about a couple different things. The first thing I'm sort of here to talk about is my experience sort of joining Sigma Phi Epsilon and Greek life. Specifically sort of talking about the Sigma Fair, Sigma Around the World events coming up.
So you joined Sigma Phi Epsilon, correct?
Yes, I joined Sigma Phi Epsilon this semester. I'm still sort of in the process, but I'm at the point that I can wear letters, obviously. And we've been doing events, philanthropy, sort of rush events. We held a secondary rush that I got to sort of help around with. And from my experience, Greek life has been a lot about just finding people that you click with within a group, but also in my own experience, and what I'm very glad to see sort of happening more on MSU campus now, is sort of these intra-fraternal or sorority bonds that has sort of been missing from Greek life for a while. Mm-hmm. So we've sort of seen this separation of groups, whether they be fraternities not talking to each other, or how boys can get sometimes around each other. They get competitive, or girls not liking other girls of groups because they dated my ex or whatever. But recently on MSU campus, we've seen this larger trend towards large-scale events. And so tomorrow during the filming of this, actually later, or it'll happen before once this episode was up, we're having the Sigmas Around the World Fair. And so all the different groups on campus, any Greek organization with the word Sigma is coming together. I know personally I've talked to members of Sigma Sigma Sigma, members of Sigma Pi, a couple SAEs, a couple of my fellow brothers in SIGEP, and we're all really excited to sort of explore what we all sort of unify together and trying to find groups of people who can embetter each other, embetter yourself. And sometimes we forget that it's our job to embetter others, not just within our fraternity, but within our campus, within our community, within our Greek community.
So how do you feel being in a fraternity has really improved you as a person?
So I can be somewhat reclusive a lot. If I don't have things to go out, I'll be like, yay, I can stay in my dorm or whatever. But I've found that having those people who I know I can eat lunch with, I know I can talk to when I have a bad day, just creating those bonds, and on another aspect, knowing that I am that for other people. Having people who can come to me when they need help, when they need someone to be there for, if they're having trouble with homework. And then, like we've sort of explored, the getting to meet all sorts of new faces on campus, whether they are my brothers or not.
So earlier you mentioned you guys have an event coming up tomorrow. So could you go into more detail about that?
So the Sigma Around the World Festival, all the sort of different Sigma groups are all going to gather together, and we're all going to sort of run different booths. Like I know for Sigma Phi Epsilon, SIGEP, my fraternity, I'm going to be working a cornhole booth. So it's open to all of MSU campus. I hope by the time this comes out, we had a pretty good turnout. And I hope that everyone will be able to have some fun on all the different Greek organizations and learn a little bit more about some of the things we stand for.
So is Sigma Phi Epsilon doing any more big events after?
So Sigma Phi Epsilon is going to be having a lot of sort of fraternity philanthropy events coming up. If you check out, you can look up like Kentucky Zeta, SIGEP, Morehead State on Instagram. I'm not entirely sure of the @ right now, but I'm sure the editor will be able to put it in correctly. And sort of check out the Instagrams of the people there. We've been putting on our stories regularly, all the different philanthropy events we have coming up, philanthropy events for other organizations. So hopefully if you check there, people will be able to turn out. Check the other Greek organizations on campus as well. There's all sorts of a plethora of good organizations that you can give your money to with good organizations that they're giving money to.
Well, thank you for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Thank you all for having me.
More when we get back. Welcome back. Here with us, we have our segment producer, Kyle Cooper. So Kyle, what do you have for us today?
Well, this week I went to Sigma Around the World, and I interviewed some of the people who worked it, and everybody had a lot of fun. I know I had a lot of fun filming it, and I hope everybody has a good time watching it.
Okay, well, we're excited to watch, so let's see it.
On April 3rd, MSU Greek Life held the Sigmas Around the World Fair on Aduc Lawn. Every Greek organization with Sigma in their name participated in the event as a sign of union and good faith.
So the Sigmas Around the World Carnival was a gathering of every Greek organization, whether fraternity or sorority, to come together and host an event for the students of MSU, sort of show off the pride we have for our different organizations. And for this event, any organization with the name Sigma. So we had quite a few organizations there, like Sigma Pi, Sigma Phi Epsilon, Tri Sigma, Phi Beta Sigma. There was just a lot of different groups all there to support this cause. And I think it actually ended up going very well.
The event featured multiple games students could partake in. While some jobs were bigger than others, everyone was dedicated to making sure it ran as smooth as possible.
So I volunteered at one of the booths. And so there was, if I think from counting around like 8 or 9 booths set up, and each organization involved came together and created their own booth. So for example, I worked at a booth in which people could spend the tickets, which were the currency of the event that you bought there. So you would buy the tickets, and then you would spend the tickets to play games, get food to eat. Our booth was to play cornhole. And so if you and your partner won at cornhole, you would get a prize that you could sort of pick that we had brought. There was games like Can Jam. There were some fun games involving like cups of water and having to sort of throw balls into ones that had fish in them or not. There was a booth set up with cotton candy, popcorn, all being fresh made, pop the balloon games, like water balloon challenges and stuff. So there was actually a wide variety of booths and different types of enjoyment and sort of the elements of a carnival that we wanted to achieve.
While they were hoping for a bigger turnout, the event was considered a success.
I would say that the event was a success, yes. There was a lot of smiling faces out. There was actually quite a few people, more than I even initially might have thought for an event like this that I had never personally heard of. But yeah, we had a pretty good crowd out. Everyone was seeming to have fun, and I think we got quite a few ticket sales. I mean, they were handing a lot to us at least. So I think it was quite a good event.
But more importantly than that, everyone had a blast.
I personally did enjoy the Sigma Carnival. I'll be excited for it to come again next year.
Be sure to keep your eye out for more events such as this one. This is Kyle Cooper for Field ID.
Welcome back. We would like to thank everyone who has watched this episode.
We'd also like to thank our very wonderful guests for coming on, as well as Kyle Cooper. So come back next week for a new episode of
Eagle ID.